Hey guys, welcome to my Workshop Wednesday video. Oh, my last one of the year, because next Wednesday is Christmas and I will be celebrating with my family. So welcome to the last Workshop Wednesday video of 2019. So we're talking today about weight fluctuations. Plateaus is the term that a lot of people use, right? Why I'm doing everything right and my weight is stalling or it's even spiking up, okay? So quick background, I'm Tara. I help women get healthy, fit, and strong, and I do not believe in restrictive calorie counting or obsessively weighing yourself. I also do not agree with the intuitive eating only approach, because that's a good place to get to eventually, but when somebody's on any kind of a fat loss or health journey, they need some guidelines along the way. Okay, so I sort of am on my own little island in this industry, because most people go to one of those extremes, and I don't believe in either one of those extremes. So I'm going to share today the 8 most common reasons that your weight on a scale, if you choose to weigh yourself, might fluctuate or plateau that have nothing to do with fat loss. So what I'm not talking about here are when your weight is stalling or spiking because you're actually putting on excess body fat or not taking any off. I'm talking about when people are actively taking off body fat, but yet the weight on the scale is either staying the same or spiking up. So that's what we're chatting about today. And a quick little background on that: the only way to lose excess body fat is to be in an energy deficit, okay? I wish there was another way. I wish there was a magic amount of apple cider vinegar that you could drink that'll do the trick, or a magic pill, or one certain kind of ab crunch or something like that. It's just not true. The only way to take off body fat is to be in an energy deficit, otherwise known as a calorie deficit. Again, not obsessively into counting calories or anything like that, but the math of this whole situation is that you need to be taking in less energy than your body is utilizing for you to be able to go through your body fat. Because here's what happens: you're not actually ever really in that deficit, because your body will take what you bring in from your food and it will supplement what it needs beyond that with your stored energy, which is the body fat that you have. It's just stored energy waiting to be used up. So let's just say, for an arbitrary number, your body needs 2,000 calories to do what it does on a daily basis, okay? And you bring in, I'm just gonna say 1,500 calories one day, whether you count it or not, your body will take the other 500 calories that it needs from your stored body fat, okay? It is a net zero game. Your body will end up getting the calories that it needs from your food and or from your body, your stored body fat, okay? So it's a zero-sum game here. So let's get into these reasons. So let's say you happen to be in an energy deficit, you happen to be losing body fat, and then all of a sudden it stalls, right? There's stagnation in your weight loss on the scale, or it actually starts to spike up. Now, by the way, this is the point where people usually drop off and give up, okay? Hey, Jim, thanks for watching. If you're on some sort of a weight loss or fat loss journey and you notice that your weight plateaus or spikes up, this is where people get frustrated, right? I can never do it, this must not be working, and then this is when they go and sabotage themselves, and that's when it actually doesn't work. It doesn't mean that this stall or the spike up is actually where you went wrong. So here are 8 reasons. Number 1, sodium. When you have an increase in sodium, salt, your body will hold on to extra water. So along with salt comes water. It's just a chemistry thing, and they like to go hand in hand. Now, it's not just overall how much sodium that you take in. A lot of my clients will be like, well, I don't eat that much sodium. It's relative to you. So if you normally hardly eat any sodium, and then you happen to have a day where you have more sodium than your body is used to, you will end up holding on to water weight for a day, a couple of days, something like that. The opposite is true as well, okay? Here is something that a lot of people are not talking about, but if you happen to have a regular amount of sodium and then one day you have less than usual, you will artificially weigh in less based on that lower amount of sodium, okay? Because where sodium goes, that's where the water is. So have more sodium, the water comes with it. Have less sodium, the water goes with that as well, okay? Hey, Ariel, thanks for watching. The second reason, almost like sodium, is sugar and carbs. Same thing, same category. But you can think of it this way: carbohydrate, that hydrate is there because carbs love to hang out with water. So for every 1 gram of carbs that you have, 4 grams of water will go along with it, okay? So that weighs something, even though it's just water. So if you have a high amount of carbs, you're going to weigh in more. It's just the extra water weight, okay? The same thing goes if you have a relatively lower day of carbohydrates, then you're gonna weigh in less, right? Some of these things have a little bit of a delayed effect. It might not be immediately the next day. You might notice it a day or two later, but this is what goes on, okay? This is why people that adopt a ketogenic diet tend to lose tons of weight right away, and then all of a sudden they feel like they're stalling because there's only so much water weight that you can lose, right? So they cut out the carbs and they start dropping tons of water weight, and it's going fast and it's rapid, and they're so excited about it, and then they're telling all their friends to do this diet, right? And then all of a sudden it stalls. Now, if they're in a true energy deficit, a calorie deficit, they will now start to slowly burn through body fat stores, but that's a slower process. Ketogenic diet, I'm not a fan. I don't think that it's necessarily the healthiest or the most sustainable. I'm probably gonna get hate mail for that, but that's fine. If you're coming from an awfully processed, terrible diet and you're going to a more real whole foods keto diet, yeah, it's probably better than what you were doing before. But in general, as like the most ideal diet for most people, I don't think that's what it is. But I digress. The thing about ketosis is that if you are taking in less energy than you're using up, you're gonna burn through your body fat stores. And if you're taking in more energy than you use up, you're gonna end up gaining body fat, right? So it's really not this magic pill, just like any of these other diets. The end result is it making you take in less energy than you're using up, then you're gonna burn through your body fat. It's really actually very simple. So number 1, sodium. Number 2, sugar and carbs. Number 3, progesterone. This is a hormone. This is for the females out there watching, that is higher in the second half of our menstrual cycle if you're still menstruating. And that will make us hold on to extra water weight. And you know this, right? This is why we talk about being bloated the second half of our cycle and things like that. But that will make your weight fluctuate a lot. I mean, for some people up to 5 to 7 pounds, and that could come on slowly over those 2 weeks or so, right? It could be like a pound a day for a while. But at some point, you're going to have this whoosh effect where all of a sudden the water comes out. You're going to notice that you're peeing more than usual, and that water weight will go away. It does not mean that you're putting on extra body fat. The fourth one, your bowel habits. This is a fun one, right? If you're using the bathroom a lot more than usual, then you're gonna end up weighing in a little bit less, right? If you haven't used the bathroom in several days, you're gonna find that your weight goes up on the scale. That's just weight, that's not body fat, of course. Another thing is if you eat later than usual. So we tend to drop a bit of weight overnight. We breathe a lot of it off. A lot of the extra water gets blown off in our breath, and it's a term that people like to use. We float weight overnight, okay? We just end up waking up lighter than we were when we went to bed. If you eat later, it doesn't mean that you're going to gain body fat. If you're eating later and going over, if you're eating later and going over your overall energy needs, then yes, then you're going to gain body fat. But if you're just eating later at night, you have less time to float off that weight overnight. You may weigh in more than usual in the morning. Let's say if you weigh yourself first thing in the morning, okay? The same thing goes if you cut off your eating earlier than usual in the evening. You're going to have more time to float off that weight, and it's not necessarily an accurate measurement when you weigh yourself the next morning. The time that you weigh yourself matters too. So let's say you always weigh yourself first thing in the morning, after your pee, but before you drink anything or eat anything. And then all of a sudden you weigh yourself at a different time that day. Don't expect it to be the same, okay? This is data. If you choose to weigh yourself, which I think should only happen if you don't have some sort of an emotional tie to the number that you see. If that number is going to make you emotional at all, then it's not the right tool, okay? So I tell a lot of people to throw out their scales, but I'm only speaking with you if you actually do use your scale. So if you weigh yourself in the morning, do it under consistent circumstances, right? A similar thing that you're wearing, the similar time of day, similar routine and all of that, because you're collecting data. And so don't expect to trust any of it if you're just weighing yourself all willy-nilly all over the place. Reason number 7, strength training. Strength training is amazing. However, it breaks down our muscles. And what happens when our muscles are broken down is that they need to start onboarding more fluid. to heal, right, to get stronger. So more nutrition, more glycogen. It takes on, like a sponge, it takes on all of these extra nutrients and things to be able to repair itself. So especially if you did something with your large muscle groups, right? Leg day, I had a leg day today. And when we work those large muscle groups in particular, you're gonna find probably the next day that you're gonna end up weighing in a little bit more than usual. And then the eighth and last reason, I wanted to say this for last because it's really a bit nuanced, but stress. Everyone wants to tell you that stress will make you gain weight, that cortisol will make you gain belly fat and things like that. It's not true. Sometimes it's nice to believe that stuff. Sometimes I think that we want to put the onus on other things and other people because it's easier to say that we have no control over it, right? But it's also very empowering to understand that you do have control over this stuff too. So I'm always going to tell you the truth here. Stress, here's why stress might make you put on body fat. If your stress is causing you to have increased hunger and cravings and an emotional attachment to food, and you're overeating as a result, so you're bringing in more energy than your body is using up, then you will put on body fat. You might put it around your midsection, you might put it on other places, but that's how stress can make you put on real weight, body fat. That's how it can do that, right? If you're overeating. But if you're not overeating, if you're not consuming more energy than your body is using up, you cannot put on body fat from being stressed. It's impossible. But you can put on weight on a scale from being stressed. And here's why. So cortisol is a stress hormone. And when cortisol is increased, water weight goes along with that. Okay, so similarly, like the sodium and the carbs and sugar, water and cortisol will tend to go together. And when your cortisol levels are up, you're very stressed, the water will come with it. This is why some people will find that they're working really hard on their health goals, on their body goals before, like, let's say a vacation or something like that. And towards the end, they're not really noticing much progress. And then they go on vacation, they kind of throw caution to the wind. You know, maybe they even eat more carbs than they usually did or whatever. And all of a sudden they have like a several pound weight loss overnight if they had access to a scale on vacation. But I've had clients tell me, I was down like 4 pounds on my vacation. How is that possible? It's possible because they relaxed. And when we relax and when our cortisol levels come down, then the water that it was carrying along with it can be released as well. So again, you end up just peeing it out, okay? So all of these reasons will affect your scale weight, but they do not affect your actual body fat, okay? So when you notice, let's say you're tracking over time and you see that your weight's not gonna come down. It's never linear. I promise you, it's never linear. There'll be spikes, big spikes, little spikes, but you're looking at it over time, right? This is the data you're collecting. So where is your starting point? Where are you now? Likely, if you're doing things right, you're going to be going in the direction you wanna go in. And if you have a coach, that coach can help you. So it's the trend over time that you're really looking at. That's what you really want to be looking at. But you will notice plateaus, spikes up, spikes down. And the key is to not be discouraged when you are plateauing or when you are spiking up. Just know that it's part of the process, right? Because after a plateau comes a drop. After a spike up comes a drop. If you continue doing what it is that's on your plan, that's going to help you to bring in less energy than your body requires for fuel, so that you can tap into your own body fat stores and use them up. And that's how fat loss works. And that's why plateaus and weight fluctuations are just science. They just happen. They happen to every single person. So the key is to not give up. Just know that when that plateau or that spike is happening, you've got more results coming on the other side of it. Just keep at it, okay? It's important to note, I do not think anybody should be overly restrictive. You can do a lot of damage to your metabolism and your health and your body if you are too restrictive. So this is another reason why I don't love counting calories or macros or anything like that. I have a better approach, an approach that's going to make you stay sane and give you the results that you want in a sustainable way that allows you to live the lifestyle that you want to live, right? I don't think anybody wants to just shun pizza forever or never have alcohol or anything like that, but I think that you do want and deserve the results that you've been looking after for so long. Hey Joni, good morning. Thanks for watching, but I'm leaving now. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you think this will be helpful for anybody else, please feel free to share this video. I do them every single Wednesday, except next week, for free right here on the social interwebs for you guys, because I hope that it helps you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.